right. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another edition of the Sideline Junkies Tuesday Night Flight. It's me, the big guy KG, sitting in with none other than the Midnight Rider and our Joe the Fan for this week. Scott.
Thank you for having me, fellas.
Now you got to call him Scooter, man. Scooter. Scooter Tiberius. That's the name, man.
Scooter Tiberius.
You ain't got to say the whole thing every time. That's why we stopped it short to Scooter.
Okay, you got to explain the Scooter Tiberius with this. Let's go.
I mean, you're in your 20s. You work at Enterprise. You have a lot of time on your hand. So I think me and the guy Reggie started making jokes that we need to like change up Scooter's image a little bit. So people I think they already called him Scooter. He was like, nah, we got to hook up your middle name with something just off the hook. So somebody was like Tiberius. It was probably me. And we just ran with it. So it was Scooter Tiberius Jenkins.
And, Tiberius is from James T. Kirk, the captain.
Right.
Which, of course, you were the captain. I wasn't.
Hey, man, I was along for the ride, man.
It's a good ride.
Well, hey, let's jump into it. We always got a standard set of questions when we do Joe the Fan. So, Midnight Rider, as usual, you take it away.
All right, Scooter. First question is always that we always ask everybody. What's the thing that either made you fall in love or your fondest memory of sports?
It was probably when I was growing up outside of Hartford, Connecticut. I was probably like 3 or 4, and we would go to. At the time, you had the NHL, but they had the WHA, where it was kind of like the USFL, ABA, that kind of thing like that of hockey. And so like Gordie Howe and stuff. All these great players went over to the WHA, and we used to go to the games at the Hartford Civic Center for the New England Whalers, and Gordie Howe was there, and he was playing with his 2 sons, Mark and Marty. And that's just sort of what it was. That's where it began. And from there, it all blew up.
And your football team, have you always been Redskins, or were you New England, like a Patriots guy before you got down to this area?
Yeah, it's funny because where we grew up, at the time, I don't even think I heard of the Patriots. I mean, they weren't like anything big. I mean, Boston, I'm sure, was bigger, but if there were anything, they're more like Giant fans in where I lived, and a few Jets fans. People like the Steelers because I was like really young. I don't know. I was probably watching Super Bowl. I think it's probably 82 Super. Yeah, and when I was growing up, and when I was about 8, and that's probably what did it. And I just love that John Riggins guy. He seemed pretty cool. So,
KG, you got something?
One sport moment that defined your love for any sport. One sport moment that defines your love for sports.
It's probably the night I could get no one to go to Game 5 downtown when the Capitals were playing Vegas in Vegas, and they set up this huge event outside, and there were like 20,000 people outside of Cap One Arena for that game winning. It's just, you knew it. And I was always a huge hockey fan, and I went through the Redskins winning. And at the time, I was a Yankee fan, and I saw them win a few. But that was probably the biggest because it never went for me with hockey. I was a big Hartford Whaler fan, and they moved, and that was like tearing your heart out kind of when your team moves on you. And then I got to became a Capitals fan pretty quick because my parents moved down here, and then I moved pretty much right after that. So I kind of missed when they lost to the Red Wings in the Stanley Cup Finals. I kind of was like a free agent, and the Rangers were trying to get me a little bit. But it was that night that did it because it was just unbelievable. We were hugging people I've never met, having beers outside, interesting smells all around, cops not caring, people on light posts. But other than that, it was great. It was fun, and everyone had such a great experience. There was none of this like what goes on in some other places. DC was I was very proud. It was so fun. Awesome time.
Yeah, I remember that because I think that night right after the game, somebody dropped footage of Bernie Deal. I don't know if you remember Bernie or if you were around.
Bird Dog. Yeah, B Dog.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's always Bernie from Rockville.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So he was. They showed pictures of him, and that's when I lost it. Like I was like, yeah, the Caps won it. But when I saw Burn and like how happy he was, because I know he went through all of it. Like he lived and died with it. So once I saw the expression on his face, it kind of like just made the night for me.
Oh,
sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
You got another one, KG? Or are you ready for me?
Well, bringing it to the forefront. Sunday, you were at the game Sunday.
Oh yeah.
How electric was it Sunday? Now we heard stories, but firsthand account, how electric was it Sunday?
Well, let me just take it back to the days when I used to go in the early 2000s, and you're talking like Spurrier, and then Gibbs, which is those are great times with the Gibbs times. And then I remember I'd walking around FedEx, and I'd see Ben's dad there, and it was crazy. I'd bump into Ben's dad, Mr. Connie, how's it going? And then so that was always a cool experience. But Sunday was a different kind of awesomeness because there was just this whole like breath of fresh air, and everyone was just excited. Such a fun time. I've seen it loud like that before, but it wasn't the type of loud that it was. And then when it started raining, that was just great because it was so hot, and I just got wet the whole time. I loved it.
So, did you tailgate any before the game?
No, we showed up there. We parked in the tailgate area with the people I went with. They have tailgate partying. They normally do tailgate. We just didn't do it this week. And it was amazing watching the tailgate. Everyone was having a great time, and walking through that, smelling everything, and seeing all the drinks and the cocktails and the football. Yeah, I mean, it was just unbelievable. They were having a great time out there.
Man, hearing word that they started at 7:30, that made me happy right there.
Did you guys hear the story? There was this guy celebrating his 60th birthday. So I guess he lives like North Carolina somewhere. He rented a bus. He brought 45 people with him to the stadium. They had another 15 people meet them there. So they tailgated for his birthday. Then they sat in like section 122, and the seven rows of that section was all the people with him.
That's crazy.
And they celebrated his birthday like that.
What a birthday!
Crazy.
Yeah, that's a birthday right there.
Hold on, but it's even better because he catered the tailgate. So he had another company come in to do the tailgate for him. That's high roller.
That is.
Wow. Yeah.
That's how Scooter gets down.
That's how I would. Yeah, I wouldn't be driving that thing, but I'd be definitely drinking that thing. And apparently, like Kuznetsov from the Caps was out there hanging out and like drinking people's beer and eating all their hot dogs and stuff like that. And he was having a great time too. I didn't see him though. That's Kuznetsov's too much of a party for me. I can't get down with that.
It seemed like all the stars came out on Sunday. You had Durant there. You had all the alumni there. I think Ovi was there with his son.
Yeah.
You just say Kuznetsov was there. I'm like, man, everybody was coming home Sunday.
I didn't see anyone because I was up in the stands. I didn't see any of them, but except they would put people on the big screen. But we would mostly see like they had Riggins. Did you hear the Riggins story? That was awesome. That place just went crazy. And the grin on his face is just like, and he's looking. He knows attention.
Yeah, that was going to actually be my question. What was it like when Riggins got on the thing?
Unbelievable.
So in the game, we had our ups and downs. What do you think of Howe?
He had his ups and downs. He got bashed around a few times in the beginning of that game, and then he had slippy fingers. But I mean, all in all, he came through. I don't think anyone should have expected too much from him, but he came through, and I can't wait to see what he has next. I mean, he had on when he got Robinson in the first. That was a really nice little scan out by Robinson. He hit him, and then when he ran that sucker in for the touchdown, that was just like, yeah. So there's something about him. I don't know yet. I like him, and he's got it. He's kind of like Heineke with an arm, and
Right.
I think that's what he is.
I totally agree with you. I think he's a juiced up Heineke, or maybe even a little bit more juiced up Baker Mayfield, because he seems to he seems to be able to sling it. Question is, what's he going to be long term, and is he going to like take that learning curve and go with it? I feel like the worst case scenario for him is he's our backup the next 7-8 years at worst case scenario.
Right. He can get it done, I think. Yeah, he needs the help. He needs the coaching, of course. I mean, he couldn't find a better one than the enemy there, and that's good that he has him because he's going to push him. We all saw that press conference the enemy had, when he in the beginning of the preseason, and he was just like, "Listen, I'm gonna hold them up high when they do well, and I'm gonna beat them down when they don't. But we're all in this together, and that's just how I coach." And I'm not going to apologize for it. That's good for that team and for Howell, because Howell could deal with that.
Right, exactly.
Crazy question. And this is a segue into our next segment. Somebody put it out there. I just want to know what you two gentlemen think. Do we trade Jacoby Brissett to the Jets for maybe a pick or 3 because they having quarterback trouble, or do you stand pat with them?
Scooter, you can go first.
I would stick with him. I mean, what are you going to get anyways? Like a 4th, 5th, 6th? I mean, Brissett's pretty good when he gets to play. He's not like lights out or anything, but I mean, that guy can go. I mean, if you look at his stats he had with Cleveland last year, they're actually pretty good. He's not going to go out there and he's not going to be this like Tom Brady, but he can go out there and he can win games. So and especially the way that 17, the NFL made it safe. So they added an extra game. That makes it safer. So, maybe they should have less quarterbacks. But no, you have to have a good quarterback. I mean, what was that one season when Alex went down and then we wind up having Mark Sanchez, and the best quarterback we had was Josh Johnson. And he was the best one we had.
No, that's facts. And that's why think about it. We were one TV timeout. And I heard official away from having Jacoby Brissett actually get playing time this week.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if y'all saw that, but that was a great moment. I mean, it wasn't great, but when the ref got knocked down and he kind of did like the Undertaker and pops up, throws the flag, and then falls back. It's one of the best. I don't know if you see it in live play, but oh my gosh.
That's great.
That was one of the best things I've seen.
He got hit too.
He got trucked.
Pretty hard.
He got trucked.
Glad he remembered to throw the flag on that one.
Exactly. I got one last football thing for you. Defensively, this team kind of stood up and stood tall. Do you think they can duplicate that, or was this a thing of us playing Joshua Dobbs and him just not being a threat in any kind of way?
That makes sense about Dobbs. So I can tell you that my girlfriend, who doesn't know a lot about what goes on, or any of the players, she goes, "Who's 94? He's so big, and 92." And it's like,
right.
She's noticing those guys, right? And then I thought like Sweat was the best of all 3 of them, and those guys are unreal. It doesn't hurt playing Dobbs. You wish you could play him like 17 times a year. But you're not going to get that. But the way that, people are like, oh, well, Denver, they're really like, oh, they're going to come back. And it's like it wasn't a good game last week. Their best highlight was the opening kickoff for Denver.
Okay.
He did an onside kick.
Oh, yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
He did an onside. And everything else, sure. Russ went 27 for 34. That's good, right? But like 180 yards.
But that's the part where it stinks, because it's 187 yards on 27 completions. So your air yards is nothing in that point.
Right. Plus, they don't have Dulcich. He got injured. Not that he's like the greatest tight end, but he's a decent young tight end. Now they don't have him.
Was that you, KG? Everything all right?
Somebody decided to get water now.
I wasn't sure if it was water or somebody was doing a Stone Cold Steve Austin and he was about to get taken out.
Somebody decided to get water and then look at me funny.
Hey, if it's the wife, then I got no struggles with that. Got no qualms.
Gotta love
that smoke.
Gotta love them. So we always ask this question. Scott, you want to stick with us?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. We in for the long haul now.
Yeah, let's do it.
Now, we talked about this. If you are in the Sideline Junkies 24/7 group, you know we talked about it. Now, welcome to the Doctor's Show, starring Dr. Scooter, Dr. KG, and our medical assistant, the Midnight Rider. Aaron Rodgers tore his Achilles last night. Replays last night, it looked like an ankle. But then I saw it this morning, and you see the pop, and you see the calf if you've ever seen when Kevin Durant tore his Achilles, and I called that 2 days before it happened. I said, if they bring Durant back too early, he's going to tear his Achilles. And it happened. Now, Scott, you got some experience with this. Please, Dr. Scooter, lay your expert opinion on us.
Well, let's just say I was safer than D'Angelo Hall. I didn't order pizza after my surgery. But other than that, I did have one. And I saw they had I had an Achilles tear 3 years ago, 2.5 years ago. And all I was doing was running back and forth down the hallway to grab something. It wasn't on the court. It wasn't, anywhere. That's all it was. And I saw a replay where they really shot up onto his leg, and you can see kind of the Achilles underneath his green socko, and it's really creepy. And I'm like, "Ooh, yeah, that's probably what it looked like when it happened to me." And but it's sort of one of these things where it just sort of feels like an earthquake occurs. Now I didn't have like a 300-pound guy on me, he did. So it was probably a little different. But if you look at him, he gets up, then he sits back down. Because immediately when I watched that play, I didn't know anything was immediately wrong, but he sort of threw the ball up in the air, and it hit one of the opponents. And then he kind of got up, then he went back down, and the look on his face was just like he knew
right.
What it was. And he didn't flip out or anything. And the interesting thing is he doesn't look like he's in pain at all. I didn't really feel any pain at all. In fact, I had to walk back. So I probably walked over 150 yards back and forth to grab stuff. Then I drove myself to the hospital. It was my left leg too. So it was easier with my right. But that's how it occurs. It blows up. You can't do anything.
So it's Kobe Bryant and Scooter, two guys that can do something after they tear their Achilles tendon. Most other people would just end up on the ground. Like, I know I was in the hospital for my back one time because I had back spasms. And this guy came in because he had popped his Achilles. And like his buddy was telling him what happened. He was like, yeah, you were running. And it's just like you just went down in the heat. And then you kept looking back like somebody kicked you or something, but nobody was around him. And I've heard that story dozens of times. I mean, even when Kevin Durant did his, if you watch the replay, he's looking around to see like who hit him or who's like, what happened. So that's looking at it in hindsight. And after KG said something, when I saw the replay, I was like, boom, that's definitely what it is. So yeah, now that changes the whole thing. If you pick the Jets in your 18 parlay for NFC division champs, you're a little short right now.
That's true. Couple comments real quick. Ross is joining us. What's happening, Ross? Good to see you.
Ross got some love earlier from Chris.
Really?
Yeah. He's one of Chris's guys, and then Pete normally gives him some love whenever Pete speaks to him.
See, I gotta start listening more regularly, but I was Imagine being in a 40,000-gallon swimming pool and you're at the bottom of it, but it's all dried out. And I was at the bottom of it in direct sunlight.
That sounds like fun.
It wasn't fun. It wasn't
Okay.
fun. My shirt is still wet. I took my shirt off to hang it up so it could dry so I could wash it. And I just want to see how long it would take. It was still wet. So
Hey, that's a scene in Ace Ventura, by the way.
Yep.
There is an empty, like 40,000-gallon pool where poor Snowflake was stolen from. And that's where he found the 1984 AFC Championship ring diamond. Like,
that is true.
Like Ben would say, it's a fact.
Yeah.
I got to go back and watch that. That was a good damn movie. I'm not going to lie.
It's a great movie.
That was a damn good movie.
Yeah.
That might be the watching on the watch list tonight. The boss BJ says, I think he knew and was in disbelief. I think so too, because he never. But Aaron Rodgers doesn't show much expression anyway. But it wasn't much expression shown there. So, here's the thing, and this is everything that you guys said was same things that I've always heard. Now that's one of my biggest fears: ACLs and Achilles tears. I've always heard, it's the hardest thing to come back from, especially when you're an athlete. My playing days are behind me. I just want to be able to move. That's all.
Right.
But rehab. Where we at with rehab? What's that? They saying the rest of the season. Now I think Rob Woodson holds the record for coming back from an ACL injury. He did it in 4 months, 5 months.
So it'd be him. Then it's Cam Akers, the running back for the Rams. He did it 2 years ago. He came back in about 4.5 to 5 months. Okay. So that's about where we are on that. But see, with the Achilles, I mean, Scott's been through it. So you give us some insight on like that process and what it's like. Like, what are those first couple of weeks like?
Well, it's really interesting. You're talking about two guys, especially at like 38, 39 years old. I think the same thing happened to Sonny Jurgensen, if I recall it. And then like he came back at like 40 years old or something like that, and he was actually decent, But besides that, I had my surgery the week after I got injured, and then about 3 weeks to a month after that is when I started rehab. I mean, they got me into the rehab play, and they were calling it rehab after only 2 weeks, but they were really just doing like massages and kind of stretches with it. And I didn't really do anything physically until a month after surgery. And then, and it was just little things like sort of doing a touch more pressure on your left toe. Plus, I was in a walking boot and I had crutches. But, after a while, you can get rid of the crutches after probably only the first 2 weeks I was in the cast, and then I got my walking boot. But I did the walking boot for about 3 weeks with my crutches. So you're really not walking without crutches for 6 weeks, something like that. I mean, these guys are professional athletes. Maybe they can do it quicker. And they have the best help. But I had a Nova Sports Medicine, and it was crazy because when I would go and do rehab, like I was rehabbing next to Ryan Zimmerman, and Steven Strasburg was there too. And that was the year after they won the World Series. And it was funny listening to Zimmerman talk about like, oh yeah, I'm going to go down there with the guys. We're going to go 2 weeks early to Florida. Like you're hearing all this stuff. I mean, that's not what we're talking about, but it's kind of cool.
We'll come back to that. We'll circle back around.
Yeah, because that's a cool story right there. Ross says, didn't Steve Smith tear his when he was with the Ravens? Yeah, 2015. Yeah. 2015. And I think of the quarterbacks that have done it. I remember Dan Marino missed the season afterwards, and he had to worry about atrophy. That was the biggest thing for Dan Marino was atrophy. His leg was frozen solid, But that was the 90s. Modern medicine has evolved. Ross says Jurgensen tore his when the team was something like 5-1, 6-1, and Kilmer played the rest of the way, including the Super Bowl.
Okay, that was that season. Okay.
Yeah, because Sonny was up he was in the booth out there in LA during the Super Bowl. Because if he was healthy, it wouldn't have been no undefeated season. I'm just gonna
you got that right.
Season. But I give it to Billy because he did it and almost pulled it off. Almost. But anyway, now here's where we veer off the road a little bit. They're talking about bringing in a veteran, possibly. I got my list. I wonder if you fellas have your list of possible veteran additions, because there was some talk about some names people don't want to hear, but I see who you guys got on your list before I go into that.
So I would start. I think every list starts erroneously with Tom Brady. I mean, you can't start there if the man owns part of a team now. So you just can't go from ownership, whether it's 2%, 4%, whatever it is, to starting for a team in the league itself. So that kind of has its own thing. I know Dan Marino's not coming back. He, Emmett, Randy Moss, and company in their commercial tried to come back, and it didn't go well for him. So I'm going to scratch Dan off the list. But the first one I really started hearing seriously is Matt Ryan. They're talking about Matt Ryan coming out of the booth, possibly. There was the Jacoby Brissett talk. I heard that early this morning in a Redskins chat. Let's see, anybody else I can think of? I've heard Gardner Minshew, and I can't think of that's pretty much it. I mean, I've heard other names, but I'm not willing to address a certain name. But I know KG will bring that certain name up. So I'm not going to worry about it.
Hold on. The boss already said, "Don't do it, KG." I didn't do it. Don't blame me. I wasn't even thinking along these lines. Blame Jamel Hill. The great Jamel Hill put it in my mind. That's all I'm gonna say.
No, she didn't. It was already there. She just confirmed it for you. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Scooter. Because Ross already on the same page. Go ahead, Scooter.
I mean, I don't know. Yeah, I heard some weird stuff. Maybe Kyler Murray for some pick, but he wouldn't be ready for a few weeks, I wouldn't think. I mean, Saleh said specifically that they're sticking with the quarterback, Zach, that they have right now. And he was like, "Oh, he's our guy. He's our guy." So you can kind of buy into that because of the way that team is built. It's a good team, it's great defense. They have a whole bunch of decent wide receivers. The offensive line, and they're about the running backs are great. If Zach Wilson could just, not throw it too much, they should be. I mean, throw it to the wrong guys, anyways. But if they did anything, I would probably look at Joe Flacco's still around. He was on the team, a year or two ago?
A year ago, actually, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I might look at that, and if you have to play him, you have to play him. Maybe that's a Vinny Testaverde type thing going on. But
now, to the boss, BJ, I didn't do it. Ross did it. So Ross can't be fined. Ross said cap. Jamel Hill said cap.
All right. So the other name I heard was Cam Newton. I heard Cam Newton as another one that's interesting
on my list.
So go ahead with your list.
It was Cam Newton, RG3, Flacco, Wentz. I think you can go ahead and let Matt Ryan be what Matt Ryan is. If you really, really want to get into it, I'd call Tony Romo. He's still got a little gas left in the tank.
He's been off the field for what, 6 years?
So
that's a lot of ring rust to come off of.
The thing is, he's not going to play. You just bringing in an arm at this point. You're not bringing in anybody to play. You just need an arm. That's it.
You need a backhoe to get the rust off of his body from not playing in like 7 years. God.
What's crazy is
I think Josh Johnson would be good there if he's not on the Ravens roster. He's a guy he's still in decent playing shape. He's played in enough systems that he can probably learn this on the fly, like he's learned everything else. So I think he would be another option. There's one person I know they're not going to touch, and that's Malik Willis.
no comment, because that's going to start a whole argument. So no comment.
I like that.
The boss BJ says Cam, but he on another list. Blackball.
We'll see.
The Jets are a Super Bowl team with a QB. I can see it the way they played last night. Ross says he would try Cap over all of these. Cam. I mean, you're just bringing somebody in. They said they're going with Zach Wilson. Cool. You're just bringing somebody in to back up Zach Wilson. And it's easy. I got a theory. Hold on. I got a theory. The boss BJ said, did y'all see what I was saying about the Bills offensive line? They got shredded last night.
If he was like just one segment too early on that. Because if you check your chat and if you check your thing, Scooter, I sent y'all something I want to try next.
We got that. Here's the thing. You want to rally around Zach Wilson? Fine. You got Dalvin Cook. What's the other running back had the big run last night? Breece Hall. You got two running backs that are a load to bring down. Go old school. You go 60% run, 40% pass. Make them beat you. And you got a defense that can stop people. Stand on the defense. Basically, take the formula of the 2000 Ravens. If we score 17, we can win a game. That's it. You offense scores 17. That's all you need. 17 points. Let defense shut everybody down. And you got to play lights out defense. A man on a man. The boss BJ said that's not going to work. You got it. Hall and Cook got to touch the ball 25, 30 times. They have to. That's the only way. Zach Wilson is not going to beat you with his arm. Only way you're going to have a quarterback to come in and beat you with their arm, if you want to go ahead and call the great Joe Namath. He can darken the sky with footballs all day long. I think he can still throw. He can't move, but he can still throw. Call him.
You know, he might be too busy still trying to kiss Susie Colbert, so I'm not sure about that.
my man was a little tipsy. Leave him alone. The boss BJ says the other three teams in your division pass 60% plus. Yeah. But you also think about this. If you go 60-40 run, you're also eating up the clock. Time of possession will be out of this world. You keep your defense off the field, but you got to, in order to do that, you got to pick up first downs. But it's something.
But I don't know if you saw the USA track team called the Miami Dolphins. They get up and down the field quickly. They don't waste any time. So I mean, I don't know if that. I mean, you can have the ball all you want. All we need is 2 plays, and we getting down the field.
Yeah, and see, how do you stop something like that? Play keep away. You play keep away. You keep their offense off the field.
You can play keep away all you want. We don't need that long to score. This is how we used to play Madden. Like my buddy was, and Scooter knows him, Thomas. He would hold the ball for like 60% of the game. I'm like, I don't care how long you have it. I don't care about my defense. All I'm trying to do is get the ball so we can go 4 wide and we can pitch this ball around the yard and we can score quickly. And that's how Miami's going to be. Miami's going to score the ball quickly.
The boss BJ going off in the comments here. Dalvin Cook 75-yard TD touchdown Jets. That makes it 45-7 Dolphins.
Exactly.
Oh my goodness. But realistically, we know they're not going to call Cap. We know they're not going to call Cam. I doubt if they call RG3.
Can they call the 4 card?
Huh?
The 4 card.
Who?
Dr. Sabah's favorite quarterback.
Taylor Heineke.
Haley Heineke.
Dr. Sabah.
Well, Heineke will be the starter in Atlanta within the next couple of weeks. I don't think Atlanta's going to give up on him.
I said it when we signed there. I mean, I saw Desmond Ridder play in college, and I saw him again, and I'm still trying to figure out what they saw to make him a top pick. But when you have a bad year for quarterbacks, there you go. That's what you end up with.
Sources say that they won't go after Kyler Murray, even though Arizona's trying to get rid of Kyler Murray. They're not going to go after Kyler Murray because Kyler Murray is going to be ineffective.
Oh,
huh?
Colt McCoy.
Colt McCoy is another.
Colt is out there.
Yeah, he's out there. I just thought about it right when you said it.
Yeah, he would be one that they would probably look at because he's like he's fresh, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
And he's another guy.
That's a problem with like the Cams or the Caps and those
Right.
other guys. They haven't played in a while. I mean, Cam's played recently, but I mean, he was already kind of banged up anyways.
Yeah, that shoulder was done. When I saw him throw the football against us, after he made that first drive and he scored the touchdown for Carolina. As I saw him throw the football, I was like, it's over. Because you can't that throwing motion. I've seen that. I've done that before.
Well, I mean, you got a list out there. And then Kyler Murray, once he comes back off an injury, the new Call of Duty comes out in November. So
yeah, you might lose him to that.
yeah, you definitely gonna lose him then. Him and Dario gonna be the only two that's up all night long playing. Don't put him on the East Coast. Nah, him and my son gonna be best friends playing Call of Duty all the time. And both of them know they got to go to work in the morning, but they like, hell, come on, one more. So, hey Dario, how you doing, buddy? Next up, week 1 reactions. I got to put this in the banner. Week 1 of the NFL is.
I'll set this up a little bit because I did this like last minute because I was literally late getting out of work. I was rushing to get in, and like literally, I think pulled up my computer at 7:29. And KG's like, "Where are you at? Or what time we going?" So, so the reason I want to hit this because normally week 1 is like the overreactions to something you saw, and maybe a reaction to something else you saw that maybe it confirms something for you. So for me, my first reaction was, what's going on in Pittsburgh? I watched part of that game and the way I had my TV set up, and Pittsburgh didn't look good. They looked unstoppable in the preseason, and after I saw that, I don't know now, and it might be an overreaction, but they just didn't look like a Pittsburgh team that I'd watched before, and it didn't hurt that their big man in the middle, Cam, I think he tore his groin. He's gonna be out for a minute, but it's just when I saw that game, and then the game that might cause an overreaction is the Rams. Because I think the Rams played out their mind. But it's week 1, it's Sean McVay. I mean, the guy can dial it up. He probably been planning for this game and making strategy like the whole time he's on vacation. He's sending plays to people and stuff. So I can see this. I saw this kind of on the horizon. But, and especially my guy, Kyron Williams, UND running back. He got busy this week too. But yeah, so those were my 2 takeaways from the weekend. What about you guys?
Well, if we're going by like overreactions, I mean, I think the first one is that like the overreaction is Cincinnati's awful. They're not awful.
Right.
They just didn't show up. Right. It's like, okay, well, this is the preseason game number 4 for us, so we'll be fine. So I of course it wasn't that attitude, but that's what it seemed like. And then I think the other one is that the Giants are the worst team ever. I don't think so at all. They weren't up for the game, just like Cincinnati, but they weren't up for a different reason, which was a little weird. But Dallas was whoa. I mean, geez. Now, I don't think that Dallas is that overly good, but they're good right now. So
I don't think their offense is that good, but I think their defense is the truth.
Yeah, they're awesome. That defense is sick.
Go ahead, KG.
It's funny because that was my overreaction, but it's on the other side. Dallas won 40-0. Of course, Dallas defense, Dexter Lawrence, you got, as you know, this the doctor show. in my expert opinion, the Giants came down with something that we call MPP, and that is called the Micah Parsons problem.
Right.
The cat is he is an animal, man. I love him. I love his motor. And then when the Dallas was on Hard Knocks his rookie year, and Dan Quinn pulled him out of the game, he was like, "Can I keep going? Like, no." And he's like, "Nah, you got to sit."
No, he did this summer, right?
What do you do?
He called. What's the is it Whitlock or the left tackle that used to play for the Bengals in his career with the Rams? He's on
I know
he's on the Amazon pregame. I think it's like Whitlock or Whittick. I can't remember exactly.
Yeah, he said bald head, big.
Yeah.
Big beard.
He called him this offseason, asked him to come down. He'll cover his expenses and train with him. And what he was doing was he wanted to understand like different hand positions. Like, why is the offensive lineman trying to jam me here? Why is he trying to do this? Why does he set like that? So he spent all the time working, trying to figure out why the offensive lineman does what he does, so he can get better at countering and like the situation and the setup. I thought that was crazy. Like when I heard him tell the story, it was just like, that's that next Whitworth. That's what it is.
Whitworth, yeah.
Thanks, BJ. But that's the mentality. You know, it's like, let's not think about what I can do differently. Like, let's get in the mind of the lineman, and now we work off of that. And I thought that was amazing. But another person that looked really good this weekend was Myles Garrett.
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw him crossing over in front of the center.
And then went inside and went right back outside. Loved it.
Ooh.
Loved it.
And what's your other one, KG?
Well, that let me finish on Dallas. Dallas is Dallas. And I say this every year, so any Dallas fans is upset about it, get ready for it because it's coming. You haven't arrived yet. You think you've arrived, but you have not arrived yet. It is not your time. I'll let you know when it's your time, but now is not your time. You won game. You were supposed to beat the Giants. You drubbed them. Great. Keep with that. Try to win the next game. Don't start talking about we them boys and we going to the Super Bowl. Please don't. Stop it. Calm down. But my second one, I gotta agree with the Bengals. I expected the Bengals to come out and look like the Bengals, but it's just like what it's like they came on the field and what's my motivation? Why am I here? What is my motivation? It seemed like they just weren't motivated.
They just cut what is it, Lyle Collins?
Yeah,
the tackle. They just got him.
Yep.
It's like, all right, you're done.
Smart. Well, he's been one of those guys that's been up and down ever since. Like he got drafted. He had a great first year in Dallas playing right tackle, and then he kind of fell off, and he got a deal, and then he kind of just disappeared. He's been he's been a shell of himself for the whole time he's been in the league. That
NBA move. Oh, once I got my deal, I ain't got to play no more because I got my money.
Right.
The boss BJ said New England surprised the hell out of him. They should have won the game. His Bills haven't improved since last season.
So let's talk on that. Let's talk on that because the Bills last night, Josh Allen, and I'm gonna steal this from Grant Paulson because he said this today earlier. He asked a question, and I kind of, when I thought about us, we kind of get in these modes. So he was saying that there's some quarterbacks that no matter what their performance is, they get the benefit of doubt. Like you'll always have Josh Allen in your top 4, your top 5. But if a Derek Carr has the same game that we just witnessed Josh Allen have, or Kirk Cousins, we're talking about this guy is the worst thing in the world. He's not worth the money. I think we even heard that already with Daniel Jones. This is what you paid $160 million for, or whatever his deal is. Do you think that's a reality? I mean, is that something you guys see as well? Because I see it all the time. I see it in the comments when people are talking, when people are posting stuff.
I think you're 100% right because he can be. I mean, he should be a top 5 quarterback, and people think of him as one, and he should be because of that arm. But then, it's not too smart to throw to one receiver with 3 defenders around him. Maybe he can get it in. I don't know, but I mean, it's just like a punt. Okay, well, how many punts you want to give? Give up. It's just it just he makes stupid mistakes.
Josh Allen's biggest problem, and the boss BJ said it. I don't want to steal his thunder, because he said he wants to do his thing, and he just said it there. He plays hero ball too much. That's what he does. He always wants to fight for that extra yard. He lives by the Walter Payton model: never die easy. Bro, you're a quarterback. Go down. They need you. They need you.
I think I'm totally with this thought process. I think he's regressing a little bit. I think Daboll gave him some confidence and gave him some options that maybe Ken Dorsey isn't giving him. I think it's Ken, because Kafka's in New York. So yes, Ken Dorsey. So I'll question if Ken Dorsey is giving them the best opportunity to be a better quarterback, or if they're just winging it enough and kind of letting them play by off the cuff a little. And then he's doing a little too much. He lost sometimes there are players that if you give them controls, they're good in the controls, but the second you take the restraints off, they're not able to walk in without the restraints. You know what I'm saying? They start falling all over themselves. And I think that's kind of what we're seeing with Allen is. He doesn't have that constraint, somebody holding him in place to make sure that he's doing what he's supposed to do.
Well, it seems like you'd be right. I'm sorry, real quick. That with Daboll, with Brian Daboll, when because what he did for the Giants last year,
Daniel Jones.
What he did with Daniel Jones, and so the interesting thing is both Daniel Jones and Josh Allen were subpar. They were really bad percentage passing quarterbacks, and Daboll seemed to be good for them. For these guys, they weren't. I mean, their percentages were like in the low 50s, mid 50s, and they still got drafted. Maybe Daniel Jones for his smarts. I don't know, but definitely Josh Allen for that gun. Yes, I mean that's the main reason.
I mean, he did it at the combine.
Yeah,
he was literally sitting there throwing the ball 75, 80 yards. Mm-hmm. Last year we watched Anthony Richardson do the same thing, and we would have had Hooker, the kid from Tennessee, doing the same thing if he didn't tear his ACL. And then this year, if Joe Milton's available and he's about to come out, he's coming out this year, Joe Milton will put on the same arm clinic where he's going to throw the ball 75, 85 yards, and it's going to look like he's just snapping his wrist, and it's going to take the world by storm. So get ready for that now. You heard it here first.
No, we can't get ready for that because we've been going through the same thing over and over and over and over with these quarterbacks. You talk about arm strength. Arm strength is always rated, but arm strength is overrated.
That's.
Let me tell you why it's overrated. Kyle Bowler coming out of Cal. His arm strength is so good. This cat can throw 60 yards off of one knee. When he stands up, he can throw the ball 80 yards. He can do this. He can do that. What did Kyle Bowler do in the NFL? With all that arm strength and all that quote unquote talent with that arm strength, what did he do in the NFL?
He dated the girl from American Pie, didn't he?
That's a great pull. If that's the case, that's a great pull.
I mean, I think he did, so that's not bad. But he got a few $1 million, right? He wasn't good.
Yeah. I know he got money from
somewhere.
Baltimore and somewhere. But arm strength is overrated. If you got arm strength but you don't have any touch, what good is it? I can have Warren Moon had one of the quickest releases, one of the hardest releases. And they say when he released the ball, you heard the and you can hit a ball slide past you as it went over your head. But he had so much touch on it, you couldn't get to it.
Okay, that's nice. So you're entering. See, I keep telling people I have these windows. I have a window. I get trapped in it. Arm strength is a window. It's a flaw of mine. I will tell you. I will gladly tell you every time. I will take the strong arm quarterback and try to figure it out.
I'll give you a weak arm quarterback that could have been in a different offense would have been pretty damn good. Not great, but good. Danny Wolford.
No.
If you could put Danny Wolf in a West Coast offense, short passes, he'd have been way better than what he was.
No.
He couldn't throw a deep ball.
He was in New Orleans. He couldn't throw a deep ball there.
He's not meant to throw a deep ball.
He can't throw, period. He can't even throw a fit. So let's stop this.
Okay. All right. The boss BJ said Ken Dorsey is horrible.
He was good at Miami.
Yeah. Is Diggs still an angry man? Yeah, I guess Diggs is still the angry man. The way he was stewing on the sideline Monday night.
When's he gonna ask for the trade?
Oh, that happens. That's happening soon.
Tyreek Hill. Oh, tell Tyreek Hill arm strength is overrated. But if I can throw a ball 80 yards, but I can't hit you in stride throwing it 80 yards, what's
if you're going to Tyreek Hill, he's gonna make the stride happen.
Okay,
out there.
If he's running up the boundary and I got him open and I throw it and it's in the middle of the field because I have no accuracy, what good is it?
He's gonna run it down. We're talking about Peter. Oh,
Tyreek Hill is not me. He's not me.
Scott, we always do this, so don't worry about it. Dog, we're talking about. Think about Deshaun Jackson and the quarterbacks they had in Philly, and all they would do was they would just throw it as far and as hard as they could to wherever a spot was, and Deshaun Jackson would just run it down.
Yeah,
he runs. He has like, if you ever watched a Deshaun Jackson highlight tape, it's like a bunch of post routes, and it's just like
they take place at FedEx Field.
Yes.
He wasn't wearing our colors in most of them.
That's true.
But he made some when he was in our colors too.
He did. He was really great with them. He was.
And then when he went back to Philly, I don't know if you guys remember week 1 with Case Keenum and company. We go into Philly right after the Super Bowl, and we're up like 17-0.
I remember.
And he catches 2 deep balls in that game, and they come back and win like 27-17 or 27-20.
Case Keenum missed Terry by just this much.
Oh my gosh!
Right?
If he hits that game is over at that point.
It's over. But
the boss BJ says
we got to draft Chase Young, so we got that.
Exactly. We did. D-Jax has another gear is what the boss BJ said. Ross says, remember Theismann had to develop touch. He was splitting receivers' hands in practice when he first started getting reps. Yeah.
Are we staying football here, or are we going somewhere else next?
Yeah, we're gonna talk about NFL investigation. We'll jump on that.
Let's do that, and then let's end on a light note.
Of course. NFL. What's his name? Jim Trotter filed a lawsuit of discrimination against the NFL. Let me pull it up. And some things have come out. Some things that he filed a complaint against the NFL. And a couple of quotes. Let me pull this in there. I ain't got my glasses on. Buffalo Bills owner Terry Pegula stated in reference to player protests against racial injustice that if a black players don't like it here, they should go back to Africa and see how bad it is. Mr. Trotter raised complaints and concerns about this remark, but no remedial action was taken. As another example, Jerry Jones, our owner of the Dallas Cowboys, responded to a question posed by Mr. Trotter regarding the dearth of black professionals in decision-making positions for NFL teams by stating that blacks feel some kind of way, they should buy their own team and hire who they want to hire. Mr. Trotter raised complaints and concerns about this remark, but no remedial action was taken. First, start with good old Jared. Are you surprised? Because I'm not.
I'm gonna take this a different route a little bit. So, if we remember this past Super Bowl, I think Trotter came in hot and heavy during the State of the Union press conference and questioned Goodell heavily on diversity in the league and everything. And he was like the senior writer for the NFL. After that scenario happens, we go maybe a month or two into March, he's let go by the NFL. I personally felt like when he got let go, he was a ticking time bomb. and he was just waiting for the right moment to just lay this out there and let this thing go. And he's probably got more examples and more information. So the league likes to try to put everybody in arbitration, but this is gonna be one of those things that's gonna be played out in the land of public opinion. So that's gonna make it interesting.
Scooter?
Yeah, I think the owners in the league doesn't give themselves a lot of, or give us a chance to give them the benefit of the doubt a lot of the times. They're doing a lot of dumb things for a lot of very supposedly smart, but definitely rich people. And I think if the people are saying that, it's bad, it's horrible, and it shouldn't happen. And so I don't know if it was said that's why there's an investigation. But is this a Dan Snyder investigation? Is the NFL going to investigate the NFL?
Yeah.
It's like does the some of this stuff doesn't make sense. Like the Pegulas, they're supposed to be a good family. He Mrs. Pegula, who's I don't know, she's like 40% owner of the team or something like that. She's like Korean American. Their daughter is a good professional tennis player on the LPGA tour. Yeah. I want to see what goes on, and it's got to be an open investigation. They always do these investigations, like, oh, we got it. Don't worry, we know what we're doing. It's like, well,
they're going to try to get this to arbitration. You're not going to see excluded. Like they're going to try to file. They're going to try to either put this as long as they can, so it doesn't happen during the season, or they're going to try to squash it. Just like we're still waiting on the case with Brian Flores case that hasn't been heard yet or done anything with.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's going to be interesting how that plays out. But yeah,
I'm gonna say this: when emails started getting leaked from Bruce Allen and Daniel Snyder and John Gruden and all that, I wasn't surprised about none of that because nothing surprises me anymore. Not a thing surprises me. The response to it kind of sort of surprised me because really, okay, you ended John Gruden, but John Gruden wasn't even the guy you was going after.
Right.
You're like, he caught a stray. So now I asked this question before. Do you think that Jerry Jones or what's his name, Terry Pegula is going to get a death sentence a la Daniel Snyder where, hey, we want you up out of here? You think it's going to come to that?
I'll say this because I've been saying this all along. I've said this on this show. I said this on the show before that was on, that these emails will come out and they can't have repercussions because there's going to be so many similar responses in the emails. There's going to be so many emails that's going to be questionable that I think the NFL is going to have their hands tied. And they're going to have to figure out a way to kind of keep this from swelling and becoming a groundswell. Like they're going to have to do the best damage control they can because it's going to be an issue. And I say that because just the tone from Jerry's comments during the kneeling situation, I just felt like when he said it, there was not much pushback. And then also, it was funny to me, and I said this a million times, it was funny that everything was kind of, it's okay, it's cool, but then Trump said something about, I'm not trying to get too political here, but it was something about basically opening the books of the NFL. And there's two things that are sacred in this world. It's the Bible and the books of the NFL. So, it's something that's not going to happen. They'll never give you that opportunity. So that's why I felt like once that threat was made, it snowballed. And I think that's how you got this whole referendum and this whole thing going. But I'm going to sit back and watch because I want to see how it plays out.
Well, in a lot of ways, like sometimes, like something's got to get leaked, right?
Right.
Leak something. And, you get we hear about whistleblowers, like and we got a whistleblower, right? So maybe it's time to release some emails out there. I mean, would Ray Rice still be in the league? Probably not, because he probably would be a little too old now. But would he still have been playing if there was no video?
Yes. I'll say this because I made this comment when that happened.
Mm-hmm.
If Ray Rice had been accused of beating a dog, he would have been suspended for the year or for his career that day. Because he hit this woman, it was like, we got to figure it out. We got to see the video. And it took them seeing the video before they actually did it. But I think if there was some kind of animal cruelty or something like that involved, he'd have been done off the break.
No, I'm not going to disagree on that.
I agree wholeheartedly. And
that's the crazy part about it, man.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the thing. If Jerry Jones is forced to sell this team,
that's not happening.
I know it's not happening, but the day that he's forced to sell his team, when that sale is final, I will tell Cowboy fans you have arrived, because that's what's holding you back.
I mean, why? Your owner. I mean, what owner doesn't have his own radio show where he calls in? He has his own post-game talk. I mean, he owns the team. He's just doing everything he can to make sure they have the best product out there.
Let me explain something to you.
I hope you saw all the tongue-in-cheek in that comment.
Yeah. Let me explain something to you. When you got somebody, if you and Scott are my GM and my coach, I'm not interfering in what y'all do, especially once we winning. We got 2 Super Bowls. We get ready to go win a third, but because they giving you guys all the press and everything like that, because you put this team together. Damn right they did. All I did was sign the checks, and we're gonna keep doing it. But no, he wanted to get Jimmy out of there because he wanted the spotlight, so he had to take over and be the soul man. You win one more Super Bowl, you ain't won nothing since. Since January 96, you won nothing because you put your fingers in this and you've contaminated the Petri dish.
It's a long time ago.
Yeah, long time.
Hey, Redskin fans, we know.
Yeah.
Just a little long. It's only a little longer. Just a little longer.
Yeah.
You know, how about them boys?
But as always, we'll sit back, we'll watch this, we'll see what happens.
Mm-hmm.
Now we come to that part of the show. We're going to end on a high note tonight. What you got, Midnight Ride?
No, I got 2 questions.
2 questions.
All right, so first, the world doesn't know that Scooter or Scott Rivette is like a wine sommelier. He probably drinks.
I'm not a sommelier.
Dude, I've seen your pictures. You're a sommelier. You may not be one by title, but you're close enough. So for the people of our show, give us like a red and a white that we should try.
A red and a white that you should try. As we would say, if I still worked at Total Wine, what is your price range? No, but like, I don't know, if you're going like if you like,
let's keep it casual. Like
if you
want
to,
I'm trying to spend about $40.
Yeah, $40, and you could get a nice cab from Napa Valley. Plenty of ones out there. You get a good Pinot Noir from Willamette Valley. Those are great. J Vineyards down in California. Those are great. And then, but there's nothing wrong with French Bordeaux. They got white and red, and they get some rosés in there. Now, if you want some, that's my stuff. Not too sweet, but if you're into sweet, there's some great Italian wines. Moscato d'Asti. My dad's with a company where they make one, and it's really good. A little bubbly, sweet. Not too much alcohol.
All wine questions. If you just throw it in the chat, we'll have Scott give you suggestions, man.
Oh yeah.
Man, see,
go ahead.
One thing we got around here is culture. We got wine, we got cigars, we have bourbon. We got it all here. This is your one-stop shop for everything. We can give you life advice, relationship advice. We've given parenting advice. We actually gave advice on breastfeeding.
Yeah,
we did all of that.
I couldn't give any advice on that.
Yeah.
I may have done that when I was a little baby, but that's about it. I try not to think about it.
You get everything you need here.
Second question, and I think you'll know where I'm gonna go with this one. Brian's got a comment in the thing. Let's do that. Maybe all people. No, let's do it now. I don't think Scott's gonna be ready for this. What type of wine with a strong cigar?
You could go with a good port wine, maybe a late bottle of vintage. They're not too expensive, probably around $30, and just sip on that. That's got good 20+% alcohol in there, so that's a sipping red wine. A little sweet too, but it's perfect with cigars.
Here you go. I'm about to have to replay this back.
Yeah. And look,
I'm funny because so one of my buddies, he would have been in the chat, but I couldn't get him the thing today. They always talk because I drink beer. I drink all the beers in the world. You can't. There's a bunch of beers that I've tasted. I've gone around the world. Me and Paul Cordova used to go to Lost Dog Cafe, pick a country, drink the beers from that country. This is the old Enterprise reference, KG. So I apologize for that. I don't want to go too far in the old Enterprise school hole.
Paul Cordova. Yeah.
Yes, indeed. 4007D, baby.
E3A.
Yeah, but how do I want to start this one? Oh, we had the Enterprise Fantasy Football League. Does that still go on? And have you won a chip?
I've been in that thing for like 22 years. And
Right.
I had my best season last season where I lost to Jeff Nail in the finals.
Ah, okay.
But I had some guys, and they just, it was a Bill. What was it? The Bills Cincinnati game.
Got you.
Right? So I had some guys, but I was probably gonna lose anyways. But I had guys like
I got you.
I had Burrow and T. Higgins. I got 0 on that one. But as long as everyone is okay, that's all that matters.
So what was that? This has been 22 years now?
Yeah. I probably have like a 327 record percentage.
Okay.
It's horrible. I don't know. I made the playoffs like a handful of times. But yeah, I'm still there. I was sad when you left.
All right, so let's talk about that.
Even the B-Dog left.
So when I left that league, I begged and pleaded. All I wanted, I was tired of him getting the paper and doing the stats. Like, I'm like, dog, this is 2000. Like, I understand what you're trying to do.
Yeah.
There's a certain component of our league that we had. So KG, just to fill you in, it's a keeper league. So the way the rules are set up, you get to keep 4 players. All right. And then after that, we kind of have our own makeshift draft board because throughout the year you can trade for picks and everything. And like for a stretch there, when people actually like making trades with me, that's another reason why I kind of left, is because people stopped wanting to make trades with me. But it was like
for years I would trade it. The past few years I've been trying to trade like crazy.
Yeah, I mean it's a good thing. Like I think, and I'll thank Scooter for this because I think one year I got Vincent Jackson from you, and that helped a lot for me. But that league just was one of those things where I just felt like we kept banging our heads against the wall because we never took it to electrical or like just online so we can just have the scores. And that's all I want.
The year after you left, I think we went to
of course.
ESPN.
Of course.
Then you were gone.
Yeah. Maybe that was the thing. Get me out of the way, and then boom. Because like I had a good run early. I was like in 5 of the first 10 championships. I think I won 2 or 3. Then I had one year where I boat raced the league, and then I got astray on that. Anything else, guys? I mean, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to make that about Scooter just.
No, that's good. Cause Scooter said something, and I felt it in my heart. I made the championship game in the league last year, and I was slated to win. And DeMar Hamlin collapsed, and I had Josh Allen and the Bills defense, and all I needed was, I think, 4 points.
Yep.
and I was champion. I was champion in both of my leagues. So it came down to it, and they said, well, you were scheduled to win that game. You were slated to win it. We can go ahead and just give it to you. I was like, nah, I don't even want it. I said, it's tainted. I don't want it.
Yeah, that's just how it was. Yeah, I was a little far out. I had a little more like 50 points to go, but there was a chance.
There was a chance.
Yeah, that's a good chance.
I understood. As long as DeMar was okay, that was fine. And we didn't. I didn't challenge. There could have been a challenge. I'm like, no, I'm not challenging.
Hey, with Joe Burrow's able to give you at least. Sometimes I know he gave me 50. Well, he didn't give me scored 54 on me one week. I think that was the week he threw for like 6 touchdowns, and then he followed that up with like a 49-point performance the next week. I'm like, God, I can't do nothing with this dude. Joe Burrow would have got you what you needed.
Well,
I'm sure
he got me 2 points this week. And I got 0 from T. So we're looking forward to next week. On to the next one.
All right,
maybe I'll if I double that, I'm really in trouble.
Real quick, since we worked together for 5 years, 6?
At least.
You got a good story?
Of you?
Yes.
Yeah. Hey. Do you want the one?
You don't have to go to number 1.
Do I have to go to number 1?
You don't have to. You can go somewhere else.
Okay. It's hard. It's hard. There's all the times we had a few beers after. But my God, no, I'll throw me under the bus on this one. It's freezing. It's like December. We're at the American Service Center, which is now Arlington Mercedes-Benz. We used to see a lot of like athletes and guys in there, but it was freezing. It's like one Monday. I wasn't feeling well, and somehow I had to rent a car to a guy at like 5:30 in the morning because that's when like they opened up in December, and he was supposed to take it to like HBL, but he took it there instead. So he was like, he wasn't one of their actual customers per se, but he was a Mercedes customer, so they helped him. And this guy's like, why is there ice on the window? I'm like, sir, it's 12 degrees out. Why is it so cold in the car? I'm like, it's also 12 degrees out. So it got to the point where he's like, I want a car without ice on it. I'm like, that's not going to happen. So it just built up. And he was just this monotonous person to the point where I'm like, you know what? That's it. I'm done. I took my clipboard with all his information. I threw it in the garbage. And Ben's like, I'll take it from here. And I just walked straight to the back way. And I wanted to kick stuff around. And I think Ben came back. He's like, customer's gone. I thought you handled it pretty well. I went home,
man. Thanks for joining us, man. Thanks for being active. We definitely gotta do it again. Maybe we can get the number 1 story in the next time.
Oh, that's a deal.
That's a deal.
Maybe I'll bring like pictures and props of who we're talking about. This guy, he didn't seem insulted, but
hold on, were you there? Were you at 26 when I called? I think the guy's name was a lawyer. It was Mr. Moran.
I remember Mr. Moran. I hated Mr. Moran.
So he came in one Saturday morning. We had a cooler because you know me during the summertime. If it's hot, we got an ice cooler at the front and we got Gatorades. We just lining the joint up with Gatorades. So it was like a Saturday morning, and this joker takes off his shoe and his sock, puts his foot in the cooler because he had hurt his ankle or something.
Yeah,
dog. So the whole rest of that conversation, I'm checking him in, and I'm calling him Mr. Moron on purpose the whole time. But nobody's catching it because I've slipped up before and called him that, but I just did it the whole time. It was kind of like if you ever seen Super Troopers and you can see how many times you can say meow. I called him that until I got tired of dealing with him. But that was like one of the most insulting things I'd ever seen. But yeah, man, that was crazy.
I remember that guy. unfortunately.
We got Enterprise stories for days, bro.
Whoa, whoa. I'm just
That'll
shocked.
be on the
that
Andy
you said
Taylor show.
He took his sock. Oh,
I'm sorry, Mr. You said, Scott.
I said that'll be on the Andy Taylor show.
Oh, we can do a 30 for 30.
Yeah, 30 for 30.
This offer us at 1626.
Oh my
Me,
God.
you, and Reggie, or 1603. We can do a 30 for 30.
I remember some lady, a black lady, said Reggie was racist to her, and he's like, "Excuse me?"
Oh yeah, I remember this one.
Like he was like, yeah, he was, and he was so and so. Like, what are you talking about? I mean, there's 1,000 stories, and it's insane what comes out of that place.
Yeah,
Scott
and then
Gerganis
one
throwing
time-
money back at people.
What was it? One where I go out the front door, Reggie comes in the back door, and the lady's in shock because she's like, "How'd you get around the building so fast?" Like, so Reggie's like, "What?" He's like, "Man, I just was in the back washing the car." So I come back in, and he's laughing the whole time. So I already know what's going on. He's like, "Hey Ben, she thought it was you." The lady's just looking at it like dumbfounded. So
Yeah. Oh my God.
that's I can have you here for the rest of the night, man.
Yep. Yeah, it's true.
Scott, man, I appreciate it, man. You know how it
Thank
is, man.
KG, you guys are awesome.
Hey,
Hey,
and-
thank you, BJ.
great to have you.
And then the other thing is like you with my pops, man. That's always something I remember, and I always appreciated you for that, man.
Oh yeah, he was awesome, and he was just a cool guy to see. And I just kept seeing him around, like, who's Mr. Conklin? He would just pop up everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, KG.
Hey, love you, Ben.
Love you, man.
Thanks,
Well,
guys.
no problem. Thank you.
Hey, my pleasure.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's our show. You know our motto, baby. We don't do no overtime. We know we did a smidgen tonight, but it was good reason. Just a
We always
smidgen.
do overtime.
What? You know the boss BJ don't pay us overtime, so we got to say we don't do any overtime. You know we don't get that time and a half.
All right,
So
I got you.
for Dr. Scooter, the medical assistant,
That's right.
Midnight Rider, I'm Dr. KG. Thank you, V. Williams. Thank you, Ross. Enjoyed Scooter tonight. Thanks to the boss BJ who was in the text window. Everybody that watched. Y'all know the motto, man. We don't do no overtime.
Everybody that's going to watch.
Oh, and going to watch.
Yeah.
Because you can watch this back on YouTube, Facebook, everything, and it'll be available on Spotify in a couple of minutes. So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we don't do no overtime, y'all. We are out of here.